Then when I went in that night, there'd been that other little lady. This little boy was mashed up. He had never come to. He was in what they call the hospital, just a house like there. Had one doctor and three or four ladies in there taking that care of for nurses. And oh, it was a beautiful sight. And the little lady, when I'd go in, they'd have to pull me over at the hotel, come here, my little boy. Well, we told her that was against the rules for me to leave the campaign and go to one, because one's just as dear to one as the other. So we couldn't get her to understand. And finally, that day, when she'd been over there and they wanted me to go over, and I told them, I said, bring her up and let me talk to her. So her and her husband come up, just young folks, about 25 years old, and she said, well, go over and heal my little boy. Now, it was through an interpreter, and I said, well, I didn't heal that little boy. I said, over in the homelands, God showed me a vision about the little boy. She was a sweet little woman. She said, go see vision for my little boy. I thought, well, that's awful nice, but I can't do that. I have no way of seeing vision. It's what God shows. It's a sovereignty of God. It isn't me. So I said, are you a Christian? No. Is your husband a Christian? No. Well, I said, then if you want to find favor with me, you do something for me. And I said, that's the way with God. Now, if a little boy dies, goes to heaven, I said, then if you die a sinner, you'll never see him no more. And if you're a Christian and he dies and goes to heaven, then you go to heaven. You'd be with him, where we'll never have no more accidents. And I said, then in doing that, you might find favor with God. Well, she couldn't lose on either side. So they got down and gave their hearts to Christ. Now, not just a Mikon, they really got up. Of course, the father had got up crying. He was ready to go on out home. So the little mother said, now go see vision for my baby. So I said, well, I wished I could, but you go on. She said, go out to the hospital. Nope, I said, you go on home. If the Lord shows me anything, I'll come tell you. So about every 15 minutes, she'd call up, Brother Branham, seen vision yet? Brother Branham, seen vision yet? So, of course, that's a mother for her baby. And then along that night, after I got in from the meeting, that little girl had been healed and many more. I was standing up. It was about 11:30 or 12 o'clock. You could read a newspaper on the street that far up in the Laplands. It doesn't get just there's just one day a year, one day and one night. You see, 6 months is dark, and 6 months the sun's up, and 6 months is down. Now, I had this Bible and I had it over my heart. And when I come in, my brother Howard said, now, if there's any Canadians here, I don't want to take offense at this, brother, but we was in Canada one time and we got some candy, and oh my, it was bad, and they just didn't have the ingredients to put in it, like here in America. So Howard gave me a couple pieces of candy. My brother said, you talk about that, finish that Canadian candy, taste that once. So I went to my room, and Brother Moore and Brother Lindsay went together, and Howard and Brother Baxter, and all of them went into their rooms. But I stayed by myself all the time on account of the visions. So I went into the room, and I just laid on the table the piece of candy down, stood around like this, and I was looking out towards the east, and I said, the great Jehovah God, seeing those little things coming through that park, are screaming and praising God, and I said, great Jehovah, someday will come. Oh, how marvelous it will be when you come, and praising him. And I had something called Brother Branham makes a knock, click, sit down like that. And there was a little long glass set down in front of me, and it had two now. I think they are called jonquils or some. They are Easter flower to me. You look like one of these old phonograph horns, you know. And two of them was sitting there, and one of them was laying that way, and the other one was laying this way. The one laying that way was laying all the way flat, and this one was going down like that. And I thought, well, where did that come from? And I looked over to my right hand side. There he stood, that big fellow, dark hair to his shoulder. had his arms folded, the one that always speaks to me, the one that does it talking right here, the light over him. He was standing there, and he said, "What did your brother give you?" I said, "Those pieces of candy, sir." He said, "Eat them." And I picked it up. I put one piece in my mouth, and I swallowed it. Now, don't ask me what it means. I couldn't tell you. When I swallowed that Easter flower that was laying that way went swish, raised right up like that. He said, "Now eat the other one." And I started to eat it, and oh, it was horrible. And I took it out of my mouth, and this other flower went pew, 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 going down. Said, "Fail to eat it, and the other boy will die." And I happened to think then, and that's geographically just the way those boys was laying when they got hit. When we found them laying, one laying to the south and one to the north. And I put it in my mouth and kind of, you know how you hold your taste or your breath like, I chewed real quick and swallowed it. And when I swallowed it, this Easter flower on this side went swish, stood right up like that, said, "Go tell the mother, thus saith the Lord, her prayers is heard." After I got myself from the numbness, I ran out in the place. They thought they had the Salvation Army up there. I let out a scream, and the windows and doors coming open. Everybody ran out. I said, "Come here, Sister Isaacson, all of you, and Brother Moore." I told the vision to them. I said, "Go get on the phone and tell that little woman that I said, thus saith the Lord, don't you worry, that baby will come too. It'll be all right." So she called the home, and they had a little tiny baby, and it was the baby Seta was watching it, and they said they'd been called to the hospital. The boy was dying. So they called up the hospital, and the mother came to the phone and just screaming to the top of her voice. Mr. Isaacson said, "Now, don't worry." Said he's going to get all right. Said he's going. Said, "Why we come up here to see him?" They thought he was dying. He just raised up just now. We was washing his face to take him home. He all right. See, oh, I tell you, our Lord is good. That's all. He's God of the heavens. He's God of the earth. He heals the sick. He raises the dead. He does all things well. Now, do I did I have anything to do with the healing of those boys? Not one thing did I have to do. It was God that did healing. I only did what He told me to do. The Lord bless you. Always remember, friends, if you think of anything else that I've said to you, remember that I believe that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is not dead, but He is alive.